What's up everybody and welcome back to another Dota commentary. This is another match from Raidcall Dota League Season 3. This is Game 2 between Alliance and Virtus.Pro. If you have not watched Game 1, click on that bottom left hand link below. That will direct you towards Game 1 where you will see the epic bloodbath. It was just a chaotic game in its entirety, but Virtus.Pro were able to come out ahead. They just managed to get a very tanky lineup, and if you combine taking this Treant Protector, you get a lineup that's really difficult to kill, even with an offensive power of a Chaos Knight Wisp and a Queen of Pain and Bounty Hunter backing you up. So VP, they had the first pick. Look for Alliance to ban out the Treant. Even if they have to give up the Bounty Hunter, I'm sure they're going to ban out the Treant. And you can see, they're going to immediately spawn by banning out the Treant. They just really don't like this hero, and I can't say I blame them. Treant does make the game a lot less aggressive usually, but VP utilizes the Treant in such an aggressive behavior that, it is fun to watch since they just charge in with the orange, just saying, alright, we're going to use our early game ability to its best by just charging in, ramming our heads against your brick wall, and eventually your wall will crumble against the might of our tree. But VP, they managed to secure themselves a Barrier Alliance, likely going to get themselves a Bounty Hunter or Nature's Prophet for their offlane choice before VP can look to ban out any more offlane heroes. I don't think Bounty Hunter will be an option in this game, although Darkseer could potentially be an option for Alliance if they want to go for a bit more teamfight heavy. But Bulldog usually shines on heroes like Nature's Prophet and Lone Druid, and Nature's Prophet will be the secure choice for Alliance. And we're going to see if Alliance pair it with the Chen. No, they're going to get Keep of the Light instead. So maybe they don't like Chen farming in the jungle too early on. Maybe they want to Keep of the Light to get a bit of extra mobility inside of Alliance, since Barrier does capitalize on immobile heroes, and the one downfall of Chen is that he's extremely immobile, so Keep of the Light making a bit more sense, and Keep of the Light has been trending very hard as a high priority support these days. He was nerfed slightly, but his base skill set still remains intact. He still has the monster split pushing capability with recall coming in for your carries. He still can heal up your carries mana in a trial with chakra. You can still defend as well as ever with Illuminate, even though you have to place it a bit more awkwardly. And VP can get themselves a Nyx Assassin, so this is likely to be a support Nyx Assassin for VP, although they do have the option to run it mid. Likewise for the Barrier, they do have the option to run Barrier in the offlane or mid, or they could just put him in the jungle as an offlane position.
10 seconds remaining.
It really depends on the other picks that both teams decide to pick up, since Alliance, they probably will put Nature's Prophet in the offlane most likely. They're going to run a defensive challenge to keep it alight, because, even if you run an aggressive challenge, Barrier versus Nature's Prophet does slightly favor Barrier, even with the Nature's Prophet as accomplished as Bulldog. Alliance going to get rid of any potential aggressive challenge threats by getting rid of the Lifestealer, and they're Virtus.Pro going to respond by banning out the Dragonite, so I guess they don't want to deal with that tanky pusher that's coming their way. So Alliance right now, they need their mid hero, they need another support, and they need their hard carry. And Alliance is one of those teams who has just way too many hard carries to choose from, so it's very difficult banning anti-Loda heroes. You can ban Loda heroes that synergize well with the lineup, but Loda has just such a vast repertoire of carries. But it seems like VP, they just want to ban out tanky, annoying split push like the DK and the Fenlancer. So Alliance, their carry pool is starting to get a bit limited, but again, they could choose something as crazy as an Ursa. Phantom Assassin is a bit more constant, Alchemist is also a bit more constant, and we're going to see what Alliance decide to do in this case. They're going to get themselves a Clockwork, and this will not be an offlane Clockwork, this will most likely be a mid lane Clockwork for S4, so interesting decision. Clockwork does lose to Barrett if Barrett does go to the middle lane, but he can survive for the most part. Seems like Alliance just want to get as much global presence as possible, so this could potentially open up a Spectre pick, although global lineups do take a while to build up, especially heroes like Nature's Prophet and Clockwork. And if Alliance do secure themselves a Spectre, then they could be in for a rude awakening, so I think Alliance will get themselves a carry that gets a bit more powerful in the early stage of the game. Maybe something like a Sven or something like an Alchemist or a Juggernaut could potentially be very useful, but unless they have a lot of global threats, and I don't think they really need to pick up the Spectre since they do have Keep of the Light who can recall back a carry at any given point. So Venture Spirit will be secured once again by Virtus.Pro. They seem to really take a shine to that Venture Spirit. She does give a lot of extra utility these days. That aura and the minus armor debuff that she applies to the enemy team is absolutely underrated. And Magic Missile is a very consistent stun swap, is still a very strong ultimate in the right hands, but the strength growth just allows her to tank up a lot easier in comparison to other supports, and she can just venture into the thick of things and get off all her abilities in a team fight. But back to Lance's lineup, I don't imagine they're going to get the Spectre since they do have Keeper of the Light. So I think something like an Alchemist will probably be a bit more likely for Alliance. Meanwhile, VP, they have their support backline, they have their offlaner. If Barrier does decide to go the offlaner, so they need their mid laner as well as their carry. Unless Tamal does play the Barrier, but I think for VP, KSI usually plays the Barrier. And a lot of mid laners are still left in the pool. Puck, Queen of Pain are still very viable options. Right now, what I'm a bit worried about for VP is that, yeah, they have a lot of strong ganking heroes, but what happens when the ganks go wrong? Where will you get your levels? Where will you counter the split push? I mean, Barrett does do very well against Nature's Power with split push since you can just blink it and lasso if you have a gem. But other than that, how will they really break the base of Alliance without a solid initiation against Lex of Cupid Light and Clockwork? And how will they combat the split push that Alliance are currently concocting? As Alliance going to get themselves the Rubik, gonna be able to get a very versatile support, but this does clearly indicate that Alliance will go for a defensive tri lane. Because Rubik, again, he's decent in aggressive Tron, but, I mean, it's not going to be enough unless they manage to get a stunning carry as Virtus.Pro. Gonna get themselves a Lesh. So this is going to be either a solo Lesh or a support Lesh with either a solo Nyx or a support Nyx. I mean, I'm not sure what Virtus.Pro are currently doing. I like that they got the Lesh Hex, so they have a bit more ways to counter the split push, and they have a way to break down the base. So I am inclined to believe that this will be a mid-solo Lesh Hex so they can get as many levels as possible and just prove to be a huge DPS contributor in the mid-game team fights. Meanwhile, I still have to pick up the carry. We're going to have to see what VP decides to ban out. Alliance could potentially get themselves a Phantom Assassin. They could go for an Alchemist. They could go for even something like a Sven, who does get a lot more powerful. Keeper Light is with him because of that mana pool just being a lot more expanded, I suppose. Alliance gonna get rid of the Naga Sign. They know one of Illidan's favorite carries is that Naga Sign via LVP. Gonna get rid of the Thrive Spectre. I don't know if Alliance would have picked up the Spectre, but with the global lineup that Alliance was concocting, Spectre is a smart ban nonetheless. So we'll see how Alliance decides to go with their carry choice. I mean, I've already gone over the options repeatedly, but it's still, I mean, bears repeating from time to time. You know, Virtus.Pro need to carry themselves. I'm not too sure which carry would do particularly well against the Alliance that Virtus.Pro could potentially run. I mean, Dragonite, it is one of the favorites of Illidan, but Virtus.Pro banned it out themselves. Nagasign is definitely one of the favorites of Illidan, but again, Alliance banned it out. And I don't know if this is necessarily Weaver lab, since Clockwork can zone out Weaver pretty effectively. If Nature's Power does manage to get his farm going, he can get Weaver locked down, and I think the biggest deal for an anti-Weaver lineup is Rubik taking Shikuchi and just going to be impossible to kill. So I don't know what VP will do. I think they're going to get a carry that has another way to creep clear if Leshak should die in engage, and then the carry can just counter push relatively easily. So maybe a Battle Fury carrier, as Alliance is going to get themselves an Alchemist. A very tanky carry, a carry that has some strong mid-game impact, a carry that does do very well in a challenge situation, especially in the defensive challenge situation. And we're going to have to see how VP responds. Will they go aggressive? VP, one of the teams that consistently runs aggressive challenge since, I mean, they love being aggressive, and that's why I love watching them. But I'm not too sure what VP will decide to choose for their carry option in this game, because a lot of the strong carries have already been eliminated from the pool. So honestly, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Oh god. I'm actually scratching my head what VP can actually go for a carry. Maybe I'll go for a PA. I've never seen VP play the PA. They could go for PA. They could go for a Skelly King if they want to go offensive. I mean, they did play Skelly King up against the likes of EG. Yeah, I think Skeleton King would fare reasonably well. The problem is that he's not a strong split pusher. He doesn't build in towards a Battle Fury, so I don't know. VP's options are looking very, very limited at this stage. They could go for Weaver as well. Weaver does alright against Alchemist, although Alchemist is very difficult for Weaver to actually kill. But you do have a lot of ways to initiate. You have Swap, you have a Lasso, and you have a lot of stuns coming your way as well, which Alliance will do have to be careful. But Alliance themselves are packing a lot of disables. So I'm liking Alliance's versatility a bit more than VP's sort of gank-heavy draft, but it really depends on mid-lane matchup, how fast Leshak can get farmed. And against the likes of Clockwork, I think Leshak should be able to get farmed reasonably quickly. Now, if Nyx Assassin goes mid. Clockwork should fare reasonably well against the Nyx Assassin since, I mean, Clockwork doesn't really mind getting his mana burn too often, and, I mean, they're both melee heroes, so both heroes can do a bit of harassment. But VP, I mean, you can see they're clearly struggling for an option for a carry that synergizes well with their lineup. I don't know what they're going to go for. Will they go for an anti-mage or counter Nature's Power? But how will they lane that if that is the case? Because then Alliance will just go aggressive with their trialing. So it's looking a little bit iffy in regards for the carry position for VP. But they are going to get themselves a Shadow Fiend. Wow. Well, I wasn't expecting this. I mean, I pretty much went through all the notable carries, but Shadow Fiend was not one of them. Shadow Fiend in this case, I mean, he does do a reasonably effective job, but the problem is, until he gets to BKB, S4 will just always disable his Requiem cast with the Battery Assault. And if Bulldog manages to get a lot of damage, the DPS output of Alchemist as well as the Nature's Power will be able to overcome the most harm Shadow Fiend. So why I like Shadow Fiend in this game is that he is a solo split pushing carry that can push down towers very effectively with the Shadow Raises. I don't think this will be a mid-solo Shadow Fiend, although he could potentially function pretty well at that position. I think this will be a carry Shadow Fiend since, I mean, what trial would VP run? Would they run a triple caster trial? I guess that's not out of the realm of possibility. And looks like it will in fact be a solo mid Nyx Assassin, not a solo mid Leshrac. So another reason why Shadow Fiend is good in this game is because Alchemist, until you manage to get an AC online, doesn't really have the best armor value, and Shadow Fiend, of course, just thrives in these positions where heroes have low base armor. As EGM gonna approach the lane very, very quickly. We'll be able to get a solid ward off, but I mean, he was toying with death since he just charged in by himself. But I guess he managed to get himself immediately towards the lane ASAP.
To battle.
I don't know if he bought TP. How did EGM actually get his way towards this very far rune spot that quickly? Let's see, 23 gold, salve, tangos, anything being pulled towards S4. Set of tangos. I guess he just walked really fast, or maybe teleported and I just couldn't notice. But VP, now we're going to get scouted out by this ward, and this ward is very, very smart ward since VP are most certainly going to run defensive shine. And as soon as I say that, VP are going to run an aggressive shine, aren't they? Oh my god. Oh my god. No, VP just going to smoke up at level 1. Interesting maneuver, but something that VP can do, especially against Clockwork, who doesn't have an innate escape mechanism. And Nyx Assassin, I mean, there is a lot of lockdown disables, but Alliance, they do have a Sentry Ward in place, and they don't see the supports on the bottom side of the map. Bulldog is able to get a successful creep pull, and that alone is giving S4 reason to pause. And they don't see any supports on the top lane, so S4 is just like, alright, where is VP? They're not killing off the treants in the jungle. They're not on the top lane, so where are they actually? And VP, they were smoked up in, and that's why S4 was staying so far back. But VP, they're going to plant a Sentry Ward, going to block off Bulldog from getting this creep dance, and expect VP to just rotate towards the bottom lane and drive Bulldog as far away as possible from that bottom lane. But VP, that first smoke went to waste pretty much, and their supports, they want to get some experience. I mean, Venture Spirit and Leshrac are heroes that will need experience in this game, especially since they're not that tanky. I mean, yeah, Venture Spirit does have some stronger strength growth. Still, you want to get those levels online so you don't fall to the presence of a farmed Alchemist who is pretty much being unchallenged in his trial, and Alchemist will go for that Grievous Greed build, I've got to imagine. And Loda, he does like the Midas up on the Alchemist since, I mean, why the heck not? Why not get it? And you can see Loda does have the clear intentions of rushing the fast Midas, so he can get that experience growth flowing and get even more gold to his name. So this Alchemist is just going to be incredibly farmed. And you can see it didn't even bother getting leveled to stun, instead getting leveled to acid spray to allow him to last hit and potentially clear out creeps a lot faster. Because he knows once he gets to Midas, his experience growth will be accelerated regardless. Now, Illidan in a 1v1 matchup for the majority of the lane has been able to get 10 CS. Still, I mean, compared to an Alchemist, that's not going to be as impressive. And curious enough, Illidan's turning on the Ring of Aquila. I mean, Alliance do have more creeps on the middle lane, or on the bottom lane currently because of that extra range creep. And I guess he just wants to get some armor going for his creep since his supports are pulling, but meanwhile Bulldog finally getting his treants harassed. Meanwhile, both heroes in the middle lane tried to go for the rune. Unfortunately for Virtus.Pro, they did not have a top rune ward skying out. Instead, they have a
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
They don't have any wards protecting the rune. Where are their wards? They have Ward Warrior the jungle to prevent Bulldog from rotating in, but Bulldog just seems to be saying, alright, I'll just get to farm in the offlane with that extra bit of levels that he gave me. But now Bulldog will be in for a rude awakening. He will probably die as the smoke attempt by Virtus.Pro going to come in, and Bulldog going to be in a lot of trouble. Magic Missile will hold Bulldog in place, and it's going to follow up with a split. It's going to clear on the creeps at the same time. Raze going to come in, and Illidan does secure the first blood. And that might force Bulldog to rotate in the jungle where that ward actually might pay off. But still, I mean, as a result, Nick Assassin is going to have pretty much no root control. Where is the other ward on the side of Virtus.Pro? Did it get placed? I guess it just got dewarded by Alliance. So if that was the case, nicely done by the side of Alliance. And Alliance were able to place a sentry ward, trying to scout out if there were any wards on the high ground, or even if there was a ward here by Virtus.Pro. Still, Nyx is doing a pretty decent job against Clockwork. He does have a bit more presence in the lane since it's difficult for Clockwork to engage upon Nyx Assassin. And the Ball Crow is just going to be always en route for Tamewild. But now, S4 going to get a bit of advantage. He has a haste rune, and Loda has finished a 3-minute 47-second minus. Going to use that already. And now his experience growth is going to get absolutely terrifying. Even though there is a free farming Shadow Fiend in response on the bottom lane, this Alchemist has just become a huge problem. Bulldog is going to clear out this creep camp. He's going to be very disappointed that this creep camp won't respawn. Still, I mean, it's not going to respawn until the next minute anyway, and that's just going to be an extra minute where that ward will not be a factor. So that ward is actually going to time out relatively soon. So Virtus.Pro's warding a little bit suspect at this stage, and you can see ars-art really struggling in terms of levels. And since Bulldog did rotate himself towards the jungle, you can see an immediate pushing response being concocted by Virtus.Pro on the bottom lane. They have a point to Edict to help accelerate the push on this tower. Alliance seems like they're just going to do some creep pulls instead of pushing down tower in response. So we'll see if Bulldog is going to be enough to hold off this push, since Alliance are not going for a tower trade themselves. The creeps going to get pulled off lane by the Treant micro, but the split actually was dodged by the Treants. A little bit misplaced. I'm sure NS actually anticipated the Treants retreating, but Bulldog with those top tier Treant mind games will be able to come in, and the Clockwork Rocket will prevent the push coming in as well. So it seems like Virtus.Pro's early game push attempt not working out, and that's going to give Bulldog a lot of extra experience that he wouldn't be able to come by on that bottom lane. And you can see Ake just relentlessly pulling, EGM pulling as well. It is going to have those beat speed online, and you can see on supports on the side of VP, Batrider is just now getting the stacks cleared off. Seems like he got off to a bit of a rough start. Usually Batrider's jungle presence is a bit better than this, but maybe the Rockets were stealing some creeps. I'm not too sure why KSI is struggling so hard in the jungle, since Batrider around the 6.5 minute mark should be close to hitting level 6, but that 6.5 minute mark is coming up relatively soon, and Batrider is not able to kill off these creeps that easily. And actually, if S4 fires one more rocket, he could potentially get himself a nice bit of bounty. So bottom lane, I'd have to say, is going even though Bulldog did die. He's doing a decent job. Top lane is going to be completely lost to the jungle. Not working out that well for KSI. Mid lane, I'm not too sure who's winning.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
As CS slightly favoring the Clockwork, and Clockwork has a bit higher base advantage, so he can get those denies going a bit more easily. So it's favoring S4 ever so slightly. But he's farming up, gonna go for the Bracer. Might not necessarily turn him into the drums as Tamewild. Gonna pop the haste rune, but won't be able to find anybody. The supports are not in the jungle, and he'll have to charge all the way up into the face of the Alchemist if he wants to get a kill on EGM. Ake just stared very far back, and actually I guess these rockets being flown in from S4 are just really hampering the Batrider's jungle, so really good calculation by S4 just mitigating Batrider's presence, and they know Batrider is probably one of the only ways Virtus.Pro can get off a safe gank on the Alchemist in the early stages of the game. And now Batrider is going to have to get level 6 and get that dagger farm going. And he will be able to get a bit of farm in the lane still. He wanted to get those jungle stacks flowing and want to get that dagger up ASAP. So right now VP are going to be very experience starved in comparison to Alliance.
Dire's bottom tower.
Even though the SF is outfarming the shopping, we're going to see a teleport on the bottom lane, a mass exit of the teleport. S4 is looking for a hook. Will he be able to snag NS? Will be able to snag NS, as NS just simply did not have any paths to run. If he ran towards the jungle, then S4 would inevitably catch up to him with the battery self. If he ran this way, S4 would hook him. So good mind games by S4 as he is able to secure the kill. But yeah, back to the Shadow Fiend. Even though the Shadow Fiend is outfarming the Alchemist, Alchemist has minus and he has 2 points of Greeble Screen. Technically, the Alchemist is outfarming the Shadow Fiend, and that is going to be even more amplified by the fact that as the side of Alliance were able to claim the first tier 1 tower of the game. Still, I mean, even though Alliance does get very scary in the late stages game with Alchemist and Nature's Prophet, VP have some strong late game heroes themselves. I mean, all their heroes scale pretty well outside of Leshrac if he doesn't manage to get himself that much farm. I mean, excessive mana burn scales, Vengeful Spirit does scale with the auras, as well as the swap range becoming more and more of a problem. So, I mean, if VP really need to take this late game, they have it in them to do just that. I mean, despite many people viewing Shadow Fiend as a semi-carry, I've seen plenty of games where Shadow Fiend does actually out-carry a hero like Dusa, or a hero like, I don't know, Spectre. I've seen them happen many, many times in the past, and Shadow Fiend has been buffed since then, so I think he has it in him to potentially carry. The problem is that the BKB nerf has really hurt Shadow Fiend, and I don't know if Shadow Fiend can kill off a hero like Nature's Prophet in the 4 seconds before Nature's Prophet does get the Hex online, if the BKB does get drained down to its last dregs. But Shadow Fiend was able to secure himself a tower. It is going to get an item shift towards him. That will be a finished Shadow Blade. So we'll see if he uses that to play a bit more aggressively. As on the top lane, Loda can get initiated on by Timod. Here comes Kisai. We'll use the lasso. Loda gonna die. We'll lose not too much gold. Actually lost around 250 gold. Not the biggest deal to give up, but more importantly for Loda, his Midas is up. The bane of every carry player, as here comes rotation by S4. He's looking to initiate. NS is going to be allowed to. NS won't even get hooked. He's going to get Bounty Assault as Magic Result is going to fight from ars-art. They will be able to zone out S4 with the splitter. That ars-art will most definitely die. He's going to give up his life so that his heroes can retreat, but NS will be spied out and will get killed off. So a good rebuttal gank coming in from Alliance. They were able to kill the Nyx Assassin top and were able to pick up 2 successful kills on the bottom lane. And Barretter, I mean, he's going to have his dagger up. Still, only level 7 means that Lasso will have a very long cooldown at this stage. The levels on the side of VP, you can see they're actually struggling quite heavily as Nature's Prophet was picked off. Sorry, I didn't recognize that. Let's just see how that happened. Bullock just reacted. Oh, Shadow Blade. That was used by the Shadow Fiend. How appropriate, as the Shadow Blade passive ability came in, and Illidan was able to get one of the easiest kills of his life. But yeah, in terms of experience, Alliance should have a very, very big advantage. As the Courier on Virtus.Pro might get sniped to S4. He wants it. He needs it. Can he get more of it? Well, the Courier has burst mode. As one more hit, oh, the Courier getting get spotted out. Virtus.Pro were not paying attention. As Timod trying to get a gank going up on Loda. Loda can't pop his ultimate just yet. Will actually successfully get a kill on the Alchemist once again. Severely limiting Alchemist's impact for that Courier dying. Gonna sort of soothe that numbing pain for Alliance for a little bit. The question is, was Loda able to use his Midas? Yes, his Midas won't be on cooldown. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, S4 will be able to get the hook initiation, but there's a Centaur revealing Illidan. So it will be a 1-for-1 trade. And Clockwork has actually been able to get a lot of kills going, and Clockwork doesn't necessarily need items, but he can make great usage of those items. And y'all guess I just smoked in the jungle just saying, what do I do, guys? He has a dagger online, but of course Barret's flying mission is not that high. Will he be able to spot out Aki? Will he actually go in for Aki? He's instead going to snag S4, trying to pick up a streak, but is now trapped in the cogs, and Timod going to get pushed back because of the cogs. Manaburn's going to fly in. Illuminate's going to get reflected as S4 will get killed off. 290 gold base, but so S4 actually did not have a streak going. Still a good rebuttal by Virtus.Pro as it's 5-5. But Bulldog is not finished his Midas. Gonna go likely into the Shadow Blade and then back into the Hex. Very standard Nature's Prophet build. Loda got to be very careful. His experience growth has been severely hampered as Mattress is gonna come in. NS will chain with the stun, and here comes the Shadow Blade. Loda gonna get picked off once again. EGM gonna get the telekinesis off onto the catapult. I'm not too sure if that was what he's intending to do. I mean, that would have been next level because, you know, that did provide an AoE stun. I gotta imagine it's a misclick, and NS was able to get the last hit with the Pulse Nova. So VP capitalizing on a bit of the mistakes of Alliance, and VP do have a very strong ganking lineup, and they will have the lasso up very, very soon. So Loda is just going to play pretty much right next to support if he doesn't want to give up too many kills. But he was able to use his mice again. That's another thing to keep in mind. But now, with those successful ganks, the UP has made up some of the deficit that they were currently in. So right now, it's difficult to say who has the advantage. Seems like Illidan gonna go straight into a Helm of the Dominator stack Ancients, or will this be a Mask of Madness? I'm not sure. He's gonna finish the treads first, trying to give himself survivability. Not rushing the BKB, I like this a lot because, I mean, there's not really so many large-scale teamfights breaking out, and BKB, it often gives you a false sense of security, especially the Shadow Blade, so that you can just push in and then pop the B to get out. But now Illidan's just going to have to watch his positioning, and he knows BKB charges are precious on Shadow Fiend these days. He wants to make sure the BKB lasts as long as possible, and just going to not play as risky. And as I said, he's going to go in for a gank attempt on the bottom lane, and unfortunately, there is a Sentry Ward that will spot the movement of the Barrett. As Firefly will be used, they will try the Alchemist in once again. Loda, can he pop the Chemical Rage? Will take one auto attack in the face. Napalm gonna slow down Loda's turn rate as Flame Break. Gonna whiff completely, and this might be a return kill coming in. Illidan doing a lot of damage, but here comes S4. Will get his stuns off, and Illidan just gonna get zapped to oblivion. So, I don't know, even with the Flame Break, if Virtus.Pro were able to secure the kill, but they severely underestimated the damage output, and that allowed Loda to live. And if they managed to kill off Loda once more, Loda might have just, rage quit the game since his minus would have been up. Still, a good return gank coming in from Alliance. And you can see that global nature definitely helping them out to protect their carry. And furthermore, with Keep the Light on their side, it's going to be difficult for Virtus.Pro to actually push down tower, since NS seems to be just warding it up, even though he has been able to hit a very respectable level 8 14 minutes in. Meanwhile, Lotus, since he did max Acid Spray, should be able to clear these Ancients after a couple rounds of Acid Spray, and that will definitely increase his gold intake. You can see, despite getting a very, very fast minus 3 minutes 40 seconds, the fact of the matter is that he was ganked 3 times, so that definitely slowed down his CS progress. He still managed to get a relatively fast level 11, in large thanks to that Midas. And now he's going to pop the ultimate, going to pop another Acid Spray, start going to work on his groups, and just try to get the Grievous Greed flowing. And just want to see his gold bounty. He's at 1k. I'll check back at him very, very soon. As Temwad, I don't know if he was spotted out by the Sentry Ward. I think he was, because it is daytime. And Loda gonna get initiated on Chemical Rage. It's gonna time out at the worst possible instant. Here comes Barrett as well. Lasso will go down to Loda, as Virtus.Pro just seems to have their eyes on the prize. Actually, the Flame Break once again misplaced, and Loda will escape. Oh my god, these Flame Breaks by KSI have just not been on point. Very, very unfortunate for KSI, as that has just been 2 engagements where Loda has just been able to escape by the skin of his teeth. And very lucky he did, because his mouse is coming back online. Sorry I keep emphasizing, but I mean, if you're a carry, you know the field, bro. Bulldog, these TP mind games, just scaring the heck out of NS. You can't run forever. As the Clockwork Rocket just gonna mitigate NS's presence entirely. Oh my god, some very, very hilarious action going on. Still, these Flame Breaks like KSI have just not been on point. And I don't know if he's blinking with the Firefly either. Keep in mind that Dire Nerf is preventing him from physically attacking during the lasso, so he's just forced to Napalm stack. Still, in order to guarantee the Flame Break step, you should just cast Flame Break while you are in the lasso state, as Loda gonna go in with the stun, and the teleport by Bulldog gonna follow shortly after. And now Alliance have regained a bit of their mojo, I've gotta imagine. Now Loda is starting to get a very, very difficult to kill. He's got the Shadow Blade finished, and now he can escape from ganks a lot easier unless Virtus.Pro do come in with detection. Timod only level 9 compared to Clockwork, who's already level 11, as the Smoke Seat will be popped, and Virtus.Pro did not have any vision of that. I don't think they did. I don't know if the Observer Ward spotted out. I think the smoke was cast around here, so if that was the case, then it didn't get spot out, but S4 gonna break it, gonna get the D ward off instead, limiting Virtus.Pro's vision and just forcing Illidan to play a lot more defensively. So Virtus.Pro definitely in a bit of a deficit right here. As you can see, the gold graph, or the experience graph reflecting that. Again, a lot of that does have to be attributed towards the double minus, but a lot of that also has to be attributed towards the superior positioning of Alliance, and the goal advantage is heavily favoring Alliance, in large part because the Alchemist as well as the Ancient stacks that are just constantly being stacked up for Loda. Meanwhile, even though there isn't a Wisp, you can see Alliance's global nature, due to the fact that Clockwork was able to get a lot of ganks going in the early game, has picked up that level 2 hook, and that makes his initiations a lot easier. and these rockets and illuminates just really preventing Virtus.Pro from ever applying any pressure towards the towers. And that means Low can just farm in peace for the most part, and he's doing that very, very happily. It'll be interesting to see what he goes for first. BKB, probably not the best option, although it could be very useful. AC is probably my guess against the physical damage of Shadow Fiend. He is going to secure himself the plate mail, so it is going to be AC. Yeah, AC makes the most sense, as the physical attacks on the side of Virtus.Pro, amplified by the Convention Sword as well as the minus armor from the presence of the Dark Lord, do hurt quite a bit, and Alchemist, as you all know, does struggle from having very low base armor. ELNS has levels, but he just does not have any farm whatsoever, and might be in a bit of a rude awakening. Barretter gonna pick up the Urn of Shadows. Not the traditional Barretter build, but maybe they just want to Urn very badly. And VP do have a Gaking Lap, so they can look to get as many Urn charges as possible. S4 will hook in, will get Tim out, and I think he knows he got Tim out, as another Central will be planted. Flamebreak trying to push S4 out of the cog, simply won't be enough. Tim out, gonna get the return stun off, will get the Mana Burn off as well, as there will be a swap to save Tim out wild. Lasso gonna drag Bulldog up onto the high ground. Dust will be used as well. Bulldog going to be a launch of ars-art going to come in. We'll pick up the last hit, as now ars-art will try to escape on out of there. S4 does not have the hook online, so a good counter gank by Virtus.Pro. As Tamo just a bit too tanky, as S4 is still charging in. He has a haste rune online. Will force tap himself forward as Tamo going to drop another stun. S4, how long does the haste rune have? It's timing out relatively soon, as the teleport I think was cancelled. S4 guessing the wrong direction. Will drop the defensive cogs to protect himself. EGM getting himself mana burn. Gonna get impaled. Will likely die. Barretter is still there, and Barretter was able to secure the last hit, and now S4 is just going to have to look to teleport out of there. KSI, luckily for S4, does not have much mana, but S4 may not realizing that is just going to look to run on out of there. I don't think he'll be able to do that successfully. Going to get the stun off. Will be able to pick up the kill on Tamawad. What a play by S4, but he is definitely going to die now because Shadow Fiend has decided enough is enough. S4 and Barretter going to be more than happy to snatch up that kill. So in the end, that engagement definitely favored VP. They got more kills. All they lost was a Nyx and a Leshrac, but they were able to get, I think, Rubik, Prophet, and Clockwork. So 3 for 2 engagement. Still, Low is farming, and that's what's scary for me if you're a Virtus.Pro fan. And he is only about 1,500 away from finishing that AC at his current rate of farm. And now he's maxed out Goril's Greed since he is level 14. And you can see the gold graph taking a slight upswing in favor of Virtus.Pro, the experience graph as well, because of those weird ganks on that bottom lane. Still, Alliance do have a lead, and they're going to get only more and more powerful as this game approaches, as Bulldog finished the Shadow Blade, going to have something shipped towards him. It's going to be some treads, going to amplify his attack speed, as well as giving him some extra survivability to toy with. ars-art, level 9. Has 3 points of Vengeance Sword to increase his team's DPS, only 1 point to Terror. But you can see the strength shreds with that strength growth means that Vengeful Spirit is above 1000 HP. Meanwhile, Illidan's farm has really slowed down significantly. Is still out farming the Alchemist technically, but the net worth tells a different story because of the Goril's Greed as well as the Hand Minus. You can see Illidan is significantly behind the Alchemist in terms of net worth. Well, not the biggest difference, 1.5k net worth difference. Still, it is a big enough difference that if you're a VP fan, you should be feeling a bit concerned. Meanwhile, VP trying to apply as much pressure as possible, but Rocket's just going to constantly fly, and pushing into the side of Alliance is just going to be very, very frustrating. I mean, it's not a prototypical turtle lamp that EG had in that one game, but it's a very, very annoying swivel pushing oriented, chip damaging oriented lineup. But VP were able to claim a tower for themselves. Greatly appreciated, but Alliance going to respond and taking Roshan, which they should do very, very easily, as Spray will lower Roshan's base armor pool, and I think Loda will secure himself the Aegis. And this should allow Loda to finish the AC in about 200 gold after he gets this Roshan last hit. Or if he gets the Roshan last hit, he will have the AC finished straight up. He didn't get the last hit, Bulldog snatched it up, but Loda will have the AC finished in about 200 gold. Tim Alden has now secured his Blink Dagger, so he can go for some follow-up initiations if Virtus.Pro do manage to get a good read. Barret's finished with the Force Staff. ars-art looks like he's going to go for either BKB or Aghanims, and is still struggling for those food stamps.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
On the side of Alliance, no mecha being picked up. Interesting enough. I mean, VP they don't necessarily want to go for team fights, they want to go for ganks, so this lack of mecha not really hurting them too much. Loda just, man, Alliance just been able to stack so many Ancients and that's just giving Loda a ridiculous amount of farm, and Bulldog an amount of farm as well. Well, Clockwork Rocket's constantly keeping a tab on Virtus.Pro's movement. Illidan finished the BKB, so he decided, alright, it's time to finish the BKB, and I agree with this decision to get the BKB now, because at this rate, you should still have a reasonably timed duration BKB at around the 35-minute mark. And since Alliance did get themselves an Aegis, you know you will likely teamfight relatively soon, since Alliance are going to look to push the issue. Still, it's not every day in the Western scene that you see both teams foregoing a mecha, and that seems to be the case in this game. Usually for Alliance, Clockwork or Keeper would pick up a mecha, but it seems like both heroes instead picking up more ganking-oriented, split-pushing oriented items, while Keeper Light warding, so I guess you can't really make that comparison. And Tim Wild actually mistimed that Spike Carapace, and that means Aki will be able to get the recall off. Loda gonna get himself lassoed up, but Loda has the Aegis. This is precisely the wrong target you should initiate on, as you can see Alliance or Virtus.Pro just skirting on either, but S4 will be able to find the hook angle, will be able to get the kill on ars-art, and ars-art will die. And you know, Tamewild could be in a bit of trouble. Will get stunned. Did he cancel it? I don't know if the battery cell ticked in, but Tamewild is definitely going to die now. He's going to pop the Vendetta, and he's going to blink away to safety, so scratch that, he's going to survive. As, ooh, he broke the Vendetta. Not too sure why he broke the Vendetta, but he did, and now Tamewild could potentially die once again, getting force-staffed away to safety by Batrider. Should be okay now. Just playing on the edge, Tamewild making some interesting decisions. And all the while, Illidan just tries to push himself up on the top lane, but that's going to become a lot more dangerous once Bulldog closes in on his next time. He's going to get the ultimate orb shipped towards him, and that Hex is going to be very, very scary for Tamewild or for Illidan to deal with this. Loda will spy Illidan in the jungle. They're just going to give each other a high five, and then go back to their merry farming ways. Still, Virtus.Pro, I think if they farm up, they should be in an okay position. Yeah, you're fetching Nature's Prophet as well as an Alchemist. You're facing Clockwork, who's annoying as hell to deal with in late stage game, especially a farm Clockwork, which S4 is currently. I mean, his CS has dropped out significantly, but his impact can definitely not be understated in this game. But I think VP have strong enough late game heroes that they can potentially survive. The question is, do VP want to go for the late game? And I'm not too sure if I know the answer for that, as Illidan gonna get lifted up in the air, gonna get in range of the Centaur, will get dropped down, gonna pop the BKB, trying to go on the offensive, will be popping the Requiem of Souls. Doesn't really have the allies to back him up at his current pace because he knows Alliance will just run on out of there, as the BKB has now run out. Bulldog gonna get himself lassoed up. Now Illidan's looking to escape on out of there. Bulldog will die, but S4 doing a lot of damage to Illidan. In exchange, Illidan will die to one last zap of the Fable. Loda gonna go back on the offensive, will pick off KSI with that AC. Magic is looking to slow down Loda for now. Tamewild does manage to get a really solid stop, will blink away to safety, but VP, they burned the 10-second BKB charge, and Fiend still died, and all they got was a crappy Nature's Prophet. I mean, that should be a t-shirt. You burned my 10-second BK charge, died. All I got was this shitty Rubik kill. Man, I have so many good ideas for t-shirts. I should open up a t-shirt store. Goal graph ticking even more in favor of Alliance. Experience graph still at the points where Virtus.Pro can overcome them. But once Nature's Prophet finishes the Hex, then I'm going to be a bit worried for Virtus.Pro, since only one hero on the side of Virtus.Pro have the BKB, and Batrider could potentially go for the BKB, instead went for the boost of travel. Interesting decision, but Alliance going to siege down the tower, and Radiant lost the courier again, so that is actually 350 gold being granted the entirety of the Alliance in this game thus far. 350 gold, that's enough for 3 sets of observer rewards, so it's really a pretty big loss for the side of Virtus.Pro. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, that's like over 3k gold being granted to the Alliance team as a whole. You know, Illidan actually went back into a Mask of Madness. Interesting choice. I guess he figures he's the only one doing damage on his team in this mid game, so he wants to increase his damage output, but he's just very easy to bring down, especially as Alchemist gets more and more powerful, and Alchemist gonna finish his own BKB at a similar time. This BKB not really gonna be as effective as Fiend's BKB because there is a Barrier Lasso and there's a swap, but I mean, if we swap the Alchemist, what can you honestly do? It's gonna be the Lasso that really gives a lot of hard time, but still, BKB will be useful against like some Magic Missile, Impale, Split Earth. BKB will just negate all of that presence and mitigate a huge portion of Virtus.Pro's damage output. Meanwhile, Barrett farming in the jungle, firefighting overhead, stealing the neutrals of Alliance. Alliance do not seem to be too bothered as Loda gonna have that BKB delivered towards him. The Aegis timed out at precisely that instant. Meanwhile, Bulldog or Aki pushing out the bottom lane, still saving for a lot of gold. Might go for a 4th staff, might go back into a mecha, not too sure. Meanwhile, S4 BKB has been trending on Clockwork, but I am more inclined to believe that this will be an Aghanim Scepter for Clockwork, as he has a lot of HP regardless, and meanwhile this top tower will definitely fall, but Alliance will probably get a tier 2 in exchange, since I don't imagine VP are too keen on facing Alliance without a hero in position on the bottom lane. And Dire, they're going to be more than happy to give up that tier 2 because they're going to go straight into the base. No, as I say that, gonna back the heck out of there. So scratch that. I gotta imagine Bulldog's getting very close to his Hex. He's gonna have the Hex up relatively soon, and I think once Bulldog finishes the Hex and then Alliance takes the next Roshan, then that's when Alliance will look to end the game. Because I think they realize themselves, VP do have the lineup. They do have the heroes to go into the late game, even if it's not as threatening. But they have so many ways to initiate. Meanwhile, Alliance, their only way to initiate is, I guess, a Clockwork Hook, which is really not the scariest thing in the world. You know, Illidan's starting to hurt. He still has a 9-second BKB charge, so he will be magically immune for quite a long duration. The question is, can his team do enough damage to make his 9-second BKB count? And that is an answer I'm struggling to come up with at this stage. It's not looking likely. You know, Nyx's item progression has slowed down to a crawl. Ars-art, again, still has the same Ogre Club. Could be BKB, could be Aghanims. Bracer was picked up by Leshak, trying to get some D-wards going. We'll be able to get one successful D-ward off at the very least, but as for will he initiate with the hook? He knows it will be a bit too risky, but the supports are coming in. I think S4 will look for an opening as Taemod will get spotted out. Taemod will get zapped and trapped and force staffed, but should be able to escape. And S is gonna have to get the heck out of there. He's gonna lose that gem, and Loda is just gonna kill Illidan in a matter of instants, even with the Requiem being dropped. So man, Virtus.Pro just looking in a terrible position. Barrett are gonna buy back, but Virtus.Pro just gonna crumble. Only Bulldog died for the side of the Alliance, and Loda's still at full HP. I mean, Illidan, you did drop the Requiem, you did drop the BKB Mask of Madness, and that's pretty much all he could do, because he just doesn't have enough HP to really get through Loda's attack damage, which, I mean, it's not the most scary, but in conjunction with the minus armor, in conjunction with the attack speed, he does a lot of damage.
Radiant's bottom tower is
As KSI gonna drop a defensive Firefly, trying to stop the creeps, but EGM gonna propel himself forward, trying to perhaps get the telekinesis off the Batrider. But I think these middle tower, or the bottom tower, will definitely fall. Batrider, he did already buy back, so he is gonna be dead for the next 55 seconds. Leshak will secure a kill on EGM, and here comes a mass teleportation. Taemod gonna be pushed away by the cogs. Good zoning cogs by S4, recognizing that the Virtus.Pro would reinforce defensively, as meanwhile ars-art gonna help secure a kill. Taemod does pick up the kill, and Alchemist gonna die as well. Virtus.Pro seemingly getting a strong defense going, and Xiaofeng has now respawned. Aki likely gonna be the next one to fall. EGM gonna turn around, gonna get one last spiteful magic missile off, and Alliance just gonna crumble in the base of Virtus.Pro. Gonna give up a lot of momentum, but I think it's safe to say that he still have the advantage, and Bulldog has the Hex finished. But I mean, VP only really defend that with one buyback, which was the Barrier, who did die a second time, but he pretty much has all the items he needs bar a BKB. So a good defense being mustered by Virtus.Pro. They are still in a great deficit, and yeah, you can see it's an absolutely mountainous or cavernous or trenchous, some weird adjective, or very difficult to overcome. And Virtus.Pro, they were threatening the Roshan, but Alchemist's gonna buy back and gonna prevent that from happening, as Virtus.Pro can initiate Chrysalis was picked up by Illidan. And that minus armor that Fiend does provide going to go to work on Roshan, but here comes a mass teleportation by Alliance, and they do spot out. Timrod is actually brought down to next to no HP. He's definitely going to die. Here comes a stun hook going to be changed shortly after Illidan. Won't even be able to pop the BKB. Illidan going to die, and I think Virtus.Pro are in a huge amount of trouble. That was a very greedy Roshan, and they are going to get punished heavily. KSI likely going to die. Can he blink away to safety? We'll be able to blink away, but not to safety. And Timrod can just only shake his spiky head in frustration as the team just crumbled beneath the presence of Alliance. Alchemist gonna get himself another Aegis, and good thing for Virtus.Pro is that Fiend did not burn a BKB. The bad thing is that, I mean, if he burns a BKB, he will still die to Loda, especially with the Basher being picked up by Loda. You know, Bulldog pushing up the top tower. S4 finished his BKB, so I guess I was mistaken in that count. Bulldog picked up the gem that NS did drop, or maybe he had the gem all along. I think it was NS's gem. And you can see Alliance starting to get their split push pressure going, knowing that it's going to be difficult for VP to engage 3 lanes at the same time. Bulldog going to immediately make his way towards the bottom lane, and VP, they're going to have to defend this. They will have the heroes respawning. Unfortunately, Fiend, I think it's died very quickly, and you can see he's lacking a lot of souls as a response. So he's lacking a lot of damage output, as well as a lot of ultimate damage. And the melee barracks is just going to get cleaned up by Alliance relatively easily. We'll see if Alliance rotate in, if they look to re-engage, if they're going to pop a smoke and then re-engage. Probably not, since the ultimate was already used by the Alchemist. Maybe they'll wait for the ultimate to go back online before they re-engage, but now Virtus.Pro are obviously in a pretty big deficit. Bulldog has the Hex as well as 3k gold, so he can start building towards some DPS items, whether it be an MKB, a Crystallis. I mean, whatever he fancies, that will be a good item choice. Abyssal Blade has now been finished up on Loda. As for BKB, Ake has finished a very late mecha, but better late than never. You know, VP, any item progression? Well, not so much is the answer. I mean, NS was able to get a little bit of farm, but still, it's just not going to be enough. Question for me is, has Fiend been able to get the max number of souls? And that answer is no. As Alliance are going to push to try to end the game, and Fiend, he's going to be fighting with 1300 HP, and if he dies, he might just have enough for back, but he's going to lose a lot of damage. Loda going to get gripped in once again, but here comes the hook response by S4. Will snag ars-art. Ars-art will be the first one to die in the spell. Seems like Barrett are going to get brought down very low as a response. Fiend doing as much as he possibly can, which is simply just not enough. Abyssal will just melt through the Fiend like a hot knife through butter, and this should be end of game 2 for Alliance, as they just managed to execute their lineup very, very well. S4 managed to get a really solid start. And even though Virtus.Pro managed to get some solid ganks off onto the Alchemist, I don't know if their lineup was really well suited to dealing with Alliance in the late portions of the mid game. If it was a late game versus late game battle, I think Virtus.Pro could have had a shot. But Alliance ended it at a very appropriate time when they were at their strongest. And Virtus.Pro will have to go into game 3 wondering what exactly went wrong. And we're going to see if Virtus.Pro responds to be on Alliance, tying up the series. And so far the series has been very action-packed. 45 kills in this game, and like I think 50 kills in the last game. Really, really strong series thus far. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll see you in game 3 very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.